Hello everyone, Sargon, Destroyer of Worlds here, and thank you for joining me again in another episode of City Skylines. Let's get things rolling here. In the last episode, we did build out this area, and I did mention that we would make this blend in with the rest of the build. And actually, I'm just noticing something here to see if we can fix this. We're going to take that path. We're just going to move a few things around. Yeah, that looks a little better. There we go. Let's go with that. So that is that is not the episode, but we are going to blend in this rock work in this vicinity. And that's going to be along this coastline. I'm really excited for this build. I think you're going to really love it. And we'll make this a bit of a nature park. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to come in and we're just going to use our forest brush to get rid of all these trees that are along here so that we have a nice clear path or view. Oops, don't want to get rid of those. Nice view of everything we're working on in this area. We're going to focus primarily in this area here for today's episode. A little bit of work here because we will be extending a bridge over, and you'll see why momentarily. So we do need to come in. These things are the bane of my existence. So let's get rid of these things here. All right, there we go. So a nice clean palette to work with. And I'll just want to bring on the contour line so you can see that we are dealing with a grade in this area. Don't worry, this is actually going to look much, much different once we're done with it. Now, we are going to first come along and we will extend this road here, put on our freeform tool, and let's make sure we're going to ground. And we're just going to follow these contours here. Doesn't matter too much. These might get moved around a bit as we continue with the rest of the build. But this is going to look pretty spectacular once we're done with it. And we'll just stretch this one out here. There we go. It's a nice little coastline road. Now the next thing we're going to do is we will come up to our collector here. We'll select it, but we will get rid of this connection bit here. And we're going to look across. So we do have a beautiful view going across. There's some height over here, which will work in our favor. But before we extend, we got to do a little landscaping here. So we'll come into our landscaping tools, increase our brush size, and we will just level out a bit of a pad here. Make it a little easier for our future road that will come here in a minute. Let's get rid of these trees as well. Well, don't worry, at some point we will add some more back in. Now, we do want to make this as straight as possible, but we do want to give it a bit of life. So we're going to raise this up. And we will add a bit of a curve to this. Now, we'll probably, to make this easier on ourselves, we will use the network multi-tool. Because as you can see, this is just having none of what I want to do. And we don't actually want the bridge spans. So we do want to come out at 90. But then we do want to turn the road just a bit. Let's get a nice view up here. We will turn on anarchy. There we go. Now, obviously, nothing here looks good. Wow, that looks actually even terrible here. So let's come in. We will fix this. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to bring this to ground level. In fact, that is not ground level. We'll use move it. We will come in and raise that to terrain height. All right, we'll do it this way. Just page up. Now we will come into use the network multi-tool and our slope function, and we will go from one side all the way to the other at this intersection here. And that has fixed all of our woes. Every single one. Gone. Before we move away from this, we will change this to a ground piece. This doesn't need to be elevated. And let's make sure our elevation is at ground level. And it's still not doing it. Okay, we will get you to be at ground level. And go to terrain height. There we go. Perfect. So now we've got this beautiful sweeping bridge with a tree that should not be there. So we're just going to come in and we'll remove that tree. But that's a nice sweeping. And actually, if we come in and turn off our contour lines, we can now just sweep right across. Look at that. That's a beautiful looking bridge. But we're not here for the bridge today. We're here to build Boulder Park. So we will come in and turn off that view. We will add a district. We're going to come in and first we're going to remove from this area the campus district we had lined out, which we do not need. I don't think we're going to put that there, so we will remove it. Come in and now add a park district in this area. And we'll come to this part for now. And we'll revisit the size and the shape of this as we continue the build out in this area. Speaking of build outs in this area, let's connect this. We do have a connection down here. And I had avoided connecting these areas, or these two roads, because I'm like, wow, geez, that's going to be super steep. But as you'll see here in a moment, and we can probably adjust that a little better. In fact, we will come into our slope tool and we will just adjust that. You'll notice it is 4% versus if we come over to this road here, you will notice that this is actually 8%. So yes, much steeper here than it is on the connection we just did. Now, I am noticing one thing here that we will just attempt to correct, and that is just the way this comes down. It's on a flat here, so no controller. We come in, change that to slope, and that's a much smoother section right there. Okay, so we might adjust this road as we build out, but let's get into actually building out Boulder Rock Park. So we're going to come into our landscaping tools, come to rocks, and we're just going to make sure this is on built-in assets only. So if I actually turn that off, you'll see I have downloaded a series of rocks from the workshop. But today, we're just going to use the ones that come with the base game. Building this area out is going to be interesting. Not too much of a challenge. But there's a few things I'm going to point out as we begin to build out. Our goal is to make this road and this this collector and bridge look like it was specifically selected because we were carving out an area. So a great way to do that is some of these assets here will come in, and you notice they've got a smooth rock face. Same thing with these ones here. But if you notice, the one I just placed doesn't have any trees. It's got some low shrubs. But this one comes with a selection of pine trees, which is fine. It just means when placing them, with thanks to move it, I can, well, move it and make sure the trees are away from the road. And we can twist this around to kind of make it also look like it was more carved out on this side. Get as close as we want. There we go. So nice setup here. The other thing I'll point out as we build this out is if I come down here once again, using these cliff, I think it's, yeah, both 10 through 12. The way these will come in, and we can place these close to the road and overlap them. More importantly, and we'll get the game running here, is the water is not really too much impacted by these. A little, but not a lot. Versus if I take this same one here and I place it, depending on how close that is to the shoreline, versus if I come out a little more, it's really, just notice the water is just really not happy, because just the way these ones will conform and change up the terrain, and as you can see here, it's created this little waterfall area. So you do have to be careful. Now, some of these may self-correct. The water dynamics in City Skylines can be a little challenging. But what I love about this build here is we can just play with this, and just got to be careful with the shrubbery. As you can see, it comes on the road. What we are going to do is we are going to come along and place our assets, and we'll use move it to come along, and we'll just move them around. Now, the one thing before we just get to placing all our assets, we're going to come in to our nature reserve path for now. We will come in and turn off angle, put it on freeform, as I want to leave myself a little reminder that we are going to get a little rain. So let me get rid of the weather here. Okay, so the weather is gone. We're back to clear skies. So we're leaving this path just as a little reminder that we are going to separate the area that we're building over here first with this zone here as well. Now, the trick is, and this is the fun part, is coming into our assets and going back to our rocks, is we can do what we want with these. We can overlap them and create nice, interesting layers of height. You know, it's looking pretty good. And just to make sure you can understand that with these, I do have now anarchy off. Is these assets will work with each other, but you notice here it won't allow me to place it, or if I do, it'll override these homes. Versus if I turn anarchy on, it'll, you know, basically bury them inside the rock, which is not the look we're going for today. So this is the really fun part, is just building this out and coming in, you know, trying to get this so that it looks like it was carved out. Maybe some of these assets do have, just with the road. There we go. And you notice how that kind of works together. Beautiful. So let's get this area built out. We'll build out this area in a quick little time lapse, and then we'll continue building out Boulder Park. So we have our first initial build out of this area. And you notice how quick and simple that was? And this is going to add a lot of character to this area. You know, provides purpose as to why we've got a road running through here, in terms of it's been carved out to allow this to pass. But more importantly, as we continue this build, it makes sense as to why we have all this rock work. So looking good, looking good. Now, one of the assets I do want to come in and put in here And I just gotta make sure I grab the right one. Yeah, here we go. So this one here, if we look, has a opening in terms of, you know, a cave to go through, and have the path running through here to make it look like they're exploring. Now, of course, we have a path coming out the other side, so we do need to make sure that we provide a similar opportunity for them to exit the cave. And if you notice, let's get that off, that it looks like there's a cave system back here, and then somebody will come popping out. And we just need to make sure as we come back in on this side, yeah, because if you get the other one too close, it blocks this entire area off. But now you got somebody going in exploring into the cave system. So I think that looks pretty darn neat. So that is kind of the separating factor to these areas. But this is not a boulder park without actually putting access and boulders into this area. So we will start on this side here. Actually, what we'll do first is I do want to come into our nature reserve, and we will pick a small nature reserve gate, and we'll come over and we will place it over here for now. And then on this side over here, we'll come in and we'll come back in, and we'll just pick just a normal, well, side gate here. So this side gate now will come in, and we're going to place these boulder assets. Now, if you look here, these boulder assets, pretty nice. Comes with, you know, people already doing the bouldering thing. But I think what will make this look good, now the rock textures are slightly different, but we can make that work. You can merge them in. Just make sure that they're not hidden in the rock like that. And you can make this, you know, a large area where you have people coming to boulder, hence Boulder Park. Now, unfortunately, these assets, there's only the one boulders set. You know, I'd love to see more of these in future updates, or maybe City Skylines 2. But we can put that in there, and then we'll just play with where these are being set, so that you have multiple bouldering sites. So I think we got a number of bouldering sites. We will come in and just use our regular nature reserve path. We will make sure it's on freeform, and we can probably turn off the road guidelines. We don't want things to start to catch. And we'll turn off collision. There we go. And we'll just run a series of paths right along the edge of this rockwork. You can have it connect up here as well. Looking good. Looking good. People very happy to boulder in Boulder Park. So speaking of Boulder Park, let's make sure this is properly named as Boulder Park. It's currently named Vermont Park. Well, this is not Vermont. This is Boulder Park. And we will come around the rocks on this side, looking good. Now, here, what we're just going to do is, once again, more rocks, but we'll start using some of these. Now, our objective is, yeah, this is a good one, is we are going to add in a pass system, but we will mix it up. This is going to be a remote, it's in the middle of the city. But just once again, see, this one doesn't fit, just the wrong shape and size. But we are going to try to layer a path network in through here. And we'll try to make sure that there is some semblance of connection to these. And I really love how these merge. And we can build them out, giving a base by using these other rocks. Come over to this side. Same kind of thing. So these are great ways to get very unique looks. Before we continue to build this out, we're going to come in with our paths. And we're going to have them cut through the park. And through these boulders, I should say. And that way we'll eventually connect them up. Just requires us to move things around a bit so that they do have some semblance as to where they're walking. And we now just need to get what would make sense here. So now we're at a size constraint because we're up against this road, which we do want to leave. So if we were to come in, place that one there. I think if we come back down and see if we can get one of these in. Don't think it's going to make too much sense at this point. So let's come back in. Oh, we've got an empty spot up here. Get that placed in there. Maybe something with a tad bit of height. There we go. One of those. Looking good. Now, we have the ability to come in, and ability, of course. We're going to add some trees in here, the conifers, to make sure this area completely blends in. And let's see if we can find a good home for some more of these. Get one into here. We want to make sure people have a reason to come in. Now this one, let's see if we can grab it. Might need to move. There we go. We just need to move this around a bit. Not everything from the bouldering set needs to be visible, but if we come in, got him sitting up here having a great old time. This is looking good. Really loving how this is turning out. And this is just an experimentation in terms of making things work. So including maybe moving this road out a bit, grabbing that node, and then we'll come back in with our path. There we go. Looking good. Oh, except now this is completely blocked off. That's not good. We don't have a, a rock opening here. So let's delete that path. And now what we'll do instead is we will look to connect this through. There we go. We can remove that extra bit there. So these are just sites that the bouldering community just loves to come in and use. I think we could probably use a couple bouldering sites on this side. So before we move on, let's see if we can add in some additional rock features. Yeah, I think we can kind of use some in here. Looking good. So just need to adjust these a bit here. And now we can come back to our parks. And we can put our bouldering sites in. Maybe one right here. And we might need to put... No, we can leave that rock sitting out there. That's fine. Not everything needs to be integrated into the larger boulder park. We do need to build this out as we continue, but let's just make sure this makes sense of having this one little standalone rock formation here. We will kind of merge some in. I think what we can do too is we'll provide, see, we've got this curve going with a bit of the curve of the road. Just need to make sure that's off the road. And then I love these. These add a nice area where it kind of slopes down, kind of makes sense. And that's looking really good. And it's just about designing to your taste. And what you like makes this a unique build for you. Now, before we come around and putting in a bunch of trees, we do need to make it look like, why did we come in through here? Now, obviously, we can just leave it here on this side, but I think similar to this road down here, where it's carved in through the rock work, I think we'll start building that out on this side as well. So once again, we will look for some of these flat pieces to start. I think these are the best ones to start with. And then you can start building your height off of these and kind of what works, including coming in with some of these pieces where underneath the road, which is kind of giving the explanation as to why it's elevated. And like I say, these ones don't add the trees in, but looking good, looking good. So that starts to frame this out. But now that we've got the frame in, we can start using some of these larger, taller pieces. Now, personally, I want to make it look like there's some natural bits to this. And that's kind of just experimenting to figure out what works best. Got a nice little piece of height there. But I like coming down with the descending heights. And that's looking good. Now, we're not going to fill out this entire area. I don't want to pre-plan this, but I want to leave myself a marker, and you as well, and give you some inspiration in terms of what is the art of the possible with these rocks. I think we'll end up leaving space here for a road to connect into whatever's going to go here. I don't know what's going to go here yet. Like I say, this is a very simplistic build, but a cool one. I like it. Now, I do want to provide an opportunity for something else down here. So we're going to come in, just put a little path. We're going to come in and we're going to grab and put in a bunch of kayaks. So that's looking good. So where they'll come down, put their kayaks or floating canoes. Okay, so that's just not going to work. If we rotate it, that works that way because it's not coming down on a hard slope. Where we've got this little area where the kayakers and canoeists who love rapids and fast water will come in and put in. But I think we can probably get away with as well. Let's find the little campfire asset. And that actually helped flatten out the terrain a bit. So a little area where people now have a reason to come down here, add some connectivity through. So, or point of interest for people to walk to. Looks really good. So all that we have left to do primarily now is come in and we're going to add in some trees. So we are going to do conifers, because these are the same trees that are part of these assets. And we'll just place and build out a forested area on both sides. So we don't need rock work everywhere. One, not always the case, and two, it is also very difficult to do with the vanilla assets when you're starting to hit up against some roads. But if we come along here, change up the tree types to larger conifers, looks good. Now, I don't want to put too many along here, simply because I do want to see the people walking and enjoying these rustic paths, because they're definitely rustic as I have them walking through shrubbery. But it does allow us to come in and put some trees in some locations to fill in some gaps, but more importantly, gaps like these. This adds some nice, nice area, wooded area. Once again, let's see if we can come in with some smaller ones. Come in over here, put some forested areas and these more open areas. Yeah, that's looking good. Looking good. Now, I think I did forget to put a path network in. Yeah. Which technically these don't need to do the animations. But let's come in. We will adjust this road slightly. We will come in and grab our nature reserve path system. We're on freeform. And we'll probably have to adjust these. Let's turn off, let's undo that. Let's turn off bending. And that way they've got a site. Wow, somebody's rich and wants to go bouldering. So we don't need anything more beyond that. We do need to reconnect the path system to the road. That is looking good. A lot of folks walking along here too. Where are you going? Where are you coming from? Well, you're going to the public library. Where are you going? Going bouldering. Willow. Willow's getting off work, I guess, and she really just wants to, she's unemployed. No, she's not coming from work. She's got her handbag, and she's just going to go. What a great view coming up. So there's still plans to do things over here, but I didn't want to get ahead of myself because I do have plans for this space, which might require us to adjust the road network just a bit up there. But looking good. Wow, like I'm really loving how this came together. And we can always come in and do little tweaks here and there as we let this sit and absorb as to whether we like it or not. Like one of the things that we should look at doing maybe is let's come over here and maybe add just a few rocks to kind of make this part make a little more sense. So again, we will take these larger ones, place a couple there, and then we'll come in with these sloped ones to kind of have nice, so it's not just a straight up rock wall. Speaking of rock walls, we have it right in the middle of the road. But for this, we're not sold on this location exactly, so we can pull the road off just a bit. So like I say, we'll come back at some point and build out this area, but this makes sense here. Now you've got two competing rock walls with a collector running through it for future expansion over here. So looking good. The only thing we're going to do here, this is just a quick little update, network multi-tool, and it is a range, I believe it's this one, arrange at line mode. And that will kind of just smooth that road out a bit because we were playing with it a bit, and that looks much better. So I do hope you enjoyed Boulder Park and its build today. I really love it. Hopefully this inspires you to do something similar in the future. So until next time, bye for now.